All right, welcome back. So this time I'm gonna be talking about a different dream. This one it was I want to say around a week to a month ago. It wasn't that long ago. I want to say about 2 weeks at most to a week. And the reason why I want to tell this is because I've been trying to remember it, like what it was. I wanted to speak about it last time and the time before, and I kind of just forgot about it because I don't know why. It just like vanished out of my mind. But it was like one of those unique dreams that very short, very simple. But it was telling because as you can see right here, it was about elves. And I was like, what? That's what? Like at first I didn't even know it was about elves. And that's what made it very kind of special in its own way as well. Is that it was like natural in that world, that dream world that I was just talking to them and stuff like that. So I'll just start it off, right? It was me. I want to say younger. I'm not sure exactly when. Maybe high school, middle school. I want to say high school only because I had me and everybody else kind of had like a backpack on. We had normal clothes, so we didn't really have like a uniform or anything. It was just normal clothes, and from everything I know and pretty much still is going on is that that's usually only more I want to say common in high school, and that's why I'm kind of associating it more closely to high school, and I want to say it's more in high school is because of that and because of like how tall everybody was. So it starts around that, like around that time frame. Everybody's outside. They're all walking to or like into the school or something. Like uh, I'm on the sidewalk and like the grass is on the left and the right, and those tops. I want to say that kind of just keep rain off of you. It's like wide open. It's just a little thing over the sidewalk. Just keep rain off of you if it's not going crazy and spraying everywhere. But think of that. Think of me walking right there. Another person or people going by and stuff, and the grass on the right side, and just big kind of open field, kind of like just normal school kind of area, right? Excuse me. But yeah, uh, it was that, and I'm walking by and I'm talking with a group of kids, or I want to say kids. It's just like this is where it gets a bit strange for me. Is that they're not the same height? They're half the height. So imagine I want to say a small person, a midget, somebody super short, people like that, right? Who are like always born short, kind of like that's just how their normal height. That's just how they are, right? But I don't think that's what it was exactly, and that's why again, else this whole thing. This is why I was not really thinking that's what they were at the time in the dream. I just considered them normal. That's just how they look, right? And all of them, they were like I want to say dressed a certain way. They weren't the same as other people, but you could tell they had a certain style of clothing, and it was a bit different. They try to blend in, kind of normal, stuff like that, but they can't really because they're different. If that makes sense, it's just there's something about them that's just different than others, and one of them being the height difference. It's such a huge height difference. Um, so they're mostly only together with each other. So they all. It's just like I think about five of them, maybe five. I want to say that's about five because I think there was like three girls and two boys, and the two boys or something were I think kind of at the like a little more ahead of them, and three girls in the back, or like they kind of just grouped together. Maybe they were here or there. I'm not really sure, but they were all, for a fact, they only really associated with themselves. And the reason why is because, nobody else really associated with them. They didn't talk to them. They didn't really get to know them or anything like that, except for me. in the dream, and I was talking with them. They knew me very well. They were really friendly. I was friendly to them. We both all pretty much friends, right? And yeah, they very close. Very. It seemed like we had a great chemistry going and stuff like that. You want to say, or just like we're just friends, just hanging out, having a good time, and they just yeah. But during the talk, I know I was talking to one of the girls, and one of the guys said something, and they were more up ahead, a little bit more up ahead. And when they had said that, they were speaking to, I think, one of the girls in the back that was, I think, a little farther behind the person I was talking to, and that was kind of like a hit and go kind of thing where they kind of started getting excited. I'm not really sure what it was exactly that because it's been a little while now, but the thing that got them all to get super excited and really want to go do it was to watch a certain movie, and that movie, believe it or not, Elf. That's why eventually I knew that, you know, this was about elves. These individuals I was talking to were elves. And that's where it gets weird because you see this elf, the movie they wanted to watch, he's normal size. He's normal size and he's wearing this, right? The Christmas style elf stuff. And I'll take it off, but you see what I mean. It's much different than the elves I'm thinking of, which is the fantasy elves, which are normal size in general, right? They're not, you know, any different in size. And that's where it got strange for me when I was thinking about it, because of the fact that one, Christmas elves are usually very, very short. Very short. They always wear green. They always Santa's workshop, stuff like that, right? But fantasy elves and the elf right here, like they're tall. Then they grow up and eventually they become normal size, and they have pointy ears, which the small ones do too. Sometimes, most of the time, but there's distinctions, right? And the one I normally think of nowadays is fantasy type elves. The ones who are normal size, or stuff like that. They can be shorter, but that would mean that they stop growing at a certain age. Stuff like that. It gets a little more complicated when you think about it like that, right? But it was weird to me because they wanted to watch this movie, and that was where I was like, "What? Oh, they're getting excited. Oh, yeah, that makes sense because they're elves, And the things like, oh, they're excited because they want to watch elves that being represented in the movie because they're elves." And like I said, that was strange to me. Uh, like after the dream, because that pretty much right there, when they said that and they were starting to talk about that and they wanted to go watch it, pretty much they all went to the room inside. I guess they had a certain location where they hung out in the like I guess like a club room kind of thing, specifically for them, because I have no idea why, but it was like a place they would go to hang out, and where they were going was that hangout spot in the school to watch that movie. And I was always invited, of course, because I was with them. And I'm not. That's where it kind of gets weird because it it leaves a lot of room for thinking. Like, one, why are there elves, right? Why are they short? Why are they, in school? Why am I one of the few people who seem to be able to communicate with them, or like they are fine with talking with me and stuff like that? It's just left a lot of different questions like that. But when I was thinking about it, because that's the end of the dream right there, I was thinking about this, right? What's the difference between elves and elves? Apparently, elf is just one. Elves are more. It just means like that. So there wasn't really a big difference on that. But what was the difference between the Christmas elves and you know, the normal fantasy type elves? Well, the size difference was the biggest thing. One, they're normally not tall. They're short. The Christmas style elves and stuff like that are always usually short. Um, the other thing, the fantasy elves, they do grow up and stuff like that. So I was wondering which type they were. Were they like a particular type that were always small, Or are they the type that eventually grows up? It only takes, the fantasy type elves, where it just takes a very long time, hundreds of years for them to grow up, right? And get out of that phase of being like, known as a kid or something. And then the most important thing, why were they in the school? Why did they were they like, was it such a common place in at that time or in that dream that elves were normally just going to school? Like, were they being integrated into society? I guess you could say, and this was one of those things where humans and elves were kind of commingling, I guess. You know what I mean? And they were here to learn human education, kind of, and stuff like that. And we were there to kind of, interact with them, maybe become friends eventually. I'm not really sure. Who knows, right? But it just it got me very curious because I've never had a dream, particularly about elves. And I want to say, if I had to think about it, I want to say that they were just young elves, very young elves, and they weren't like adult elves or anything. They were just young, and yeah, I have no idea when they would grow up, to what degree or whatever, or how tall they would get. I just know that they were, short in that dream, and they were just, that's how they looked, and stuff like that. Again, this makes it more confusing because now I'm curious if they grow up or not, but especially with the movie that they associate it with, Elf. Like, it just leaves a whole another thing to think about and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not really sure what else there is that I can think of that would maybe pop things out, or maybe give me a clue or something like that. Maybe you have an idea. I don't know. Again, it was just a strange dream because it was about elves. I never had a dream about elves in my entire life. It was, again, just they were shorter, and I want to say they were younger, but it was because they were half the size of a normal person that made it, that much more interesting to me again, and that they were only associating with me in the dream at the time because they couldn't get along really well with the other people. I guess they didn't like them. Maybe that was like, maybe there was discrimination against them or something. I have no idea. But yeah, uh, hopefully you guys enjoyed the dream. Maybe you have an idea of what's going on. Who knows? But that was it. Again, have a good day. Hopefully you guys have a good week, and so on and so on. And whenever I have another dream, or find something interesting or remember something, I'll try to make another video. But we'll see. Until then.